Since the beginning of time, humanity has pondered a profound question. Where do we come from? Are our souls created at the moment of conception, or have we existed long before entering this world? Many believe life begins at birth, but what if I told you the Bible and ancient scriptures suggest otherwise? That before we took our first breath, our souls were already known, already part of a greater divine plan? What if I told you that before you were born, you already existed? That there's an ancient book, so powerful, so controversial, that it was removed from sacred texts, yet it reveals exactly what happens before birth? A book that speaks of souls, destiny, and a divine plan written long before we ever entered this world. Why was this knowledge hidden? And what does the Bible really say? Welcome to Bible Stories, where we uncover the hidden truths of the Bible and ancient texts. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe, like, and share, because today we're digging into a mystery that has been concealed for centuries. Stay with me as we uncover the secrets hidden in this forbidden book. For centuries, sacred texts, some lost, some hidden, have whispered of a great mystery. A mystery so profound that it challenges everything we know about life and existence. Could it be that before we were born, our souls already existed? That we lived in a realm beyond time and space, awaiting our earthly assignment? In one of the oldest known religious texts, the Book of Enoch, we find shocking revelations about the origins of the soul. This book, once considered scripture by early believers, was mysteriously removed from the Bible's canon. But why? What did it reveal that was so dangerous? Enoch, the man who walked with God and was taken up into the heavens without tasting death, recorded visions of the divine. In his writings, he spoke of a celestial plane where souls resided long before they ever entered human bodies. 1 Enoch chapter 48, verse 6. For this reason, he has chosen them and appointed them through his knowledge, because they were created before the world was made. Created before the world was made, what could this mean? Could it be that our souls were already known by God, existing in a divine state, waiting to descend into human form? But this is not the only time the Book of Enoch speaks of pre-existence. Later in his prophecy, Enoch describes the moment when these chosen souls will return to their Creator. 1 Enoch chapter 62, verses 7 to 8. For from the beginning, the Son of Man was hidden, and the Most High preserved him in the presence of his might and revealed him to the elect. This book suggests that not only did the souls of men exist before birth, but so did the Messiah, hidden from time, yet destined to appear at the appointed hour. But Enoch was not the only one to speak of this mystery. Another book, though lesser known, confirms this astonishing truth. King Solomon, the wisest man to ever live, also wrote of the soul's existence before birth. In the Wisdom of Solomon, a book found in ancient Greek manuscript but later removed from many Bibles, he unveils a hidden truth. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verses 19 to 20. As a child, I was naturally gifted, and a good soul fell to my lot. Or rather, being good, I entered an undefiled body. Did you catch that? Solomon does not say his soul was created at birth, but rather that it entered a body, as if the soul existed first and was then placed into its earthly form. This idea of souls being assigned to bodies was a widely held belief among ancient Jewish scholars, and yet today it remains one of the most hidden and least discussed concepts in Christianity. But there is one more part that confirms this truth, one that survived the removal of ancient texts and still exists within our modern Bibles. The prophet Jeremiah, chosen by God before he was even born, received a message that would forever challenge our understanding of existence. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. How could Jeremiah be known before he was even conceived? How could he be appointed before he took his first breath? This verse suggests that before we are given bodies, before we enter this world, God already knows us. He has already seen our souls. He has already written our destiny. But if this knowledge was once widely known, why was it hidden? Why were these texts removed? And what does this mean for us today? Before the foundations of the earth were laid, before mankind took its first breath, there was a war in heaven, a rebellion so great that it shook the very throne of God. And in this battle, something else was at stake, Our soul. The fall of Lucifer, the first rebellion. Long before human history began, Lucifer was among the most powerful of God's creations, a being of brilliance and wisdom. But pride took root in his heart. He desired more. He desired to be like God. Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 to 15. How you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit. In that moment, a great battle erupted in the heavens. Lucifer, now known as Satan, gathered a third of the angels to rise against the Almighty. The rebellion was swift, but doomed to fail. The archangel Michael led the charge, casting Satan and his followers from the heights of heaven down to the depths of the earth. But this war was not just about angels. It was about us, about the souls yet to be born. Because when Lucifer fell, the battle for humanity's destiny had only begun. The souls who witnessed creation. Imagine standing in the divine council, hearing God call your name before you were born. What would he say? What purpose would he give you? Job chapter 38, verses 4 to 7. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. This part suggests something extraordinary. That before we were born, our souls were already present. That we witnessed creation. That we stood in the presence of God before being sent to earth. But what if this moment was more than just observation? What if we were chosen for our earthly missions before we even arrived? And what if we agreed to come? The souls assigned to earthly missions. In this divine assembly, every soul was given a purpose. Some were chosen to be leaders, to guide nations. Others were called to be healers, teachers, or protectors of the weak. And some were given the hardest missions of all. What if, before we were born, we were given a choice, a sacred responsibility, to enter this world not knowing the battles we would face, yet trusting in the plan of the Almighty? Could this explain why some lives seem destined for greatness, while others are tested through fire? Could it be that before we were born, we already knew our fate? But if this is true, if we truly existed before birth, then why has this knowledge been hidden? And what does it mean for us today? Why was this knowledge hidden? Why were texts that spoke of pre-existence, of souls existing before birth, removed from sacred scripture? To uncover this mystery, we must go back nearly 1,700 years to the halls of power where decisions were made that would shape the faith of billions. In the early days of Christianity, the teachings of Jesus were spreading rapidly. But there was a problem. There was no single unified Bible. Different Christian groups followed different texts. Some accepted the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, while others revered the Book of Enoch, the Book of Wisdom, and other lost scriptures. A decision had to be made. Which books were divinely inspired, and which were too dangerous to include? This was the Council of Nicaea, a gathering called by Emperor Constantine himself. Their mission? To create an official version of Christian scripture. But behind the noble goal of unity, some truths were buried forever. Among the many books that were debated, some contained shocking ideas about human existence. The Book of Enoch spoke of angels and fallen watchers, revealing mysteries of the spirit world. The Wisdom of Solomon hinted at pre-existence, stating that souls were created before their earthly bodies. And the prophet Jeremiah wrote that God knew us before we were even formed in the womb. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. But these ideas posed a dangerous question. If souls existed before birth, what did that mean for the power of the church? If men believed they existed before birth, they may begin to question their need for salvation. Pre-existence suggested something radical, that we were not created at birth, but had a history before this life, that we may have already stood in the presence of God, that our destinies were shaped before we entered this world. But if people knew this truth, how would it change their faith? Throughout history, the church held immense power. They were the gatekeepers of divine truth, the ones who dictated salvation, who granted forgiveness, who controlled the keys to heaven and hell. But pre-existence challenged this power. If souls existed before birth, did that mean they had a purpose apart from the church? If humans chose to come to earth, did that mean their fates weren't in the hands of religious leaders? Such ideas were dangerous. If people believed they had existed before, they might begin to believe they could communicate directly with God, without the need for an earthly priesthood. They might begin to question teachings about original sin, predestination, and divine judgment. They might even start believing that they, not the church, were responsible for their own spiritual journeys. The solution? Silence the texts. Remove them from the canon. Label those who spoke of pre-existence as heretics. But the truth has a way of resurfacing. Despite the efforts to erase them, some of these forbidden books have survived. The Book of Enoch was rediscovered in Ethiopia. The wisdom of Solomon remains in certain Christian traditions. And in our own Bibles, verses like Jeremiah 1:5 still whisper the echoes of a knowledge long suppressed. If this knowledge was hidden, if we truly existed before birth, what does it mean for our lives today? Now that we've uncovered these hidden truths, what do they mean for us today? What if, before we were born, our souls already existed in the presence of God? What if, before we entered this world, we had a purpose, a mission, a divine calling? Though many ancient texts were hidden, hints of pre-existence still remain in the Bible itself. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Job chapter 38 verses 4-7, "Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footings set? Or who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy." This part suggests something extraordinary. That Job, and possibly all of us, were present before the world was even formed. We were there, watching, waiting, chosen for a purpose. For centuries, theologians have debated a profound question. Did God preordain our lives before birth? Or do we shape our own destinies through free will? Predestination teaches that our paths are already set by divine decree, that God chose certain souls before birth to fulfill specific roles. Free will argues that while God may have known us before birth, He still allows us to choose our path once we arrive on earth. But what if both are true? What if we came to this world with a purpose, but still had the power to accept or reject it? In today's world, many feel lost. They ask, why am I here? Do I have a purpose? Is my life just a series of random events, or is there a greater plan? But what if the answers have been within us all along? What if our souls knew, before we were born, what we were meant to do? What if our memories of that purpose have simply been veiled, hidden from us? Think about your life, your passions, your struggles, the moments that feel too perfect, too meaningful, to be coincidences. Could it be that you were meant to be here, right now? Could it be that you were chosen for something greater? Before you were born, before the veil fell, before you forgot, the truth has been hidden for centuries, but now it is yours to seek. What will you do with it? What do you think? Does the soul exist before birth? Were we chosen for a purpose before we even entered this world? Or is this knowledge something we were never meant to uncover? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Let's start a conversation about these ancient mysteries. And if you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like this video. It helps spread the truth to more people. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future revelations. Share this with friends and family who need to hear this message. This is only the beginning. Stay with us as we uncover more hidden secrets of the Bible and beyond. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.